Oh, this is awesome. I love it. 4 o'clock. Admit. Hey, thank you very much, by the way. I really
How you
appreciate
doing,
this.
Mike? How are you? Can you
How
hear
you
me okay?
doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm very good. Just got off of work. I'm a local 3 union electrician. And
Great.
let's start it up.
All
So
right. How long
thank
you want to
you.
go? Like 5-10 minutes?
Oh, I want to do a short introduction. How much time do you have? I did an hour and a half. Could be a lot less. Could be a lot more. How much time do you have?
You want to do an hour and a half?
Oh, no. I put that as max,
No
but
way.
it can
No way,
go,
pal.
yeah, about 20
How
minutes. It
about
can go
15 minutes?
15
10, 15
minutes.
minutes.
That's fine.
And then we're
Beautiful.
talking, what are we talking, Knicks?
I just wanted to interview you about your career, a little bit about your career.
Absolutely. And
Thank
where
you
are
very
you,
much.
Mike? Where are you located?
I am in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay. And you're an electrician.
Yes.
Don't you make a ton of money as an electrician? Why do you want to be a sportscaster?
Um, I am an apprentice right now, and I love this.
Okay.
I do a lot of play-by-play for the last year and a half on Facebook. I
Oh,
want to get an
good.
interview. I want to do a lot of things. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I would like to just thank you and welcome to the inaugural edition of the Interviewing Sportscasters podcast. I am, of course, the soon-to-be man, myth, legend, and microphone mania champion of the world, Mike Mordecai Einhorn, MME 316. Today we have with us a fellow legend in his own right, Mr. MSG 150, Bill Pidto. Born and raised in Palo Alto, California, he is a 1987 graduate of Cornell University, where he received a bachelor's degree of arts in psychology. Bill began broadcasting as a sports anchor and reporter for WVBR radio station, Ithaca, New York. He
Okay,
made
Mike,
his
I want to
big break.
stop you right now. Okay, if you want to do this,
Yes.
we're gonna make this a practice session. Okay.
Okay.
You need to just be much more conversational, like we did when we first started, and don't read my whole biography. It's something
Okay.
like, "Hi, I'm Mike. What's your Mordecai's your last name?"
Okay, that's my middle. Well, it's my Hebrew name.
Okay, Mazel Tov. I'm Jewish too.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Mike Mordecai, and I'm here to talk to Bill Pidto, who's a host of MSG Networks. And you do not want to start reading all of that, because who's ever listening is going to fade completely away.
Okay.
So my advice to you is do this like you're calling a game, where you're just going to talk and not read.
Absolutely. My bad.
So why don't we start it again and do it as if you and I are having a phone conversation, as opposed to you trying to be a quote sportscaster. You'll see a much improved performance, if you know what I'm saying.
Okay. Thank you.
So go for it.
My name is Mike Mordecai Einhorn, MME 316. I'm here with the Mr. MSG 150, Bill Pidto, ESPN, MSG Network, all over. How you doing today, Bill?
Good, Mike. That, to be honest with you, is a fantastic intro. And that's a great way to start this interview. It's a real honor and pleasure to be on with you. And I look forward to answering whatever questions you may have.
Thank you. Very cool. Thank you. As it pertains to your career, who were your childhood influences?
So when I was a little boy, I'm originally from Manhattan, and then I moved to California. My first exposure to sports was watching the Knicks teams when they were really good in the early 1970s. And when I was a little boy, I always used to pay attention to who was calling the games, all of the announcers. There was an announcer on the West Coast when I was growing up by the name of Bill King, who was a phenomenal announcer. You may have heard him, some of his Raiders calls on NFL films. He also called the Warrior games. And I used to always dream about being a radio play-by-play man. So he was someone I always listened to. I always watched the NBA on CBS with Dick Stockton, and the NFL on NBC with Dick Enberg, and back in the day, Kurt Gowdy. And I've always been a huge fan of Al Michaels. When it comes to studio work, which is kind of how my career has evolved and developed, I've always been a huge fan of someone like Chris Berman, who I had the privilege to work with at ESPN. and people who have been energetic and entertaining in the studio is kind of how I came along with the explosion of Sports Center. So that's kind of my generation and how I've been helped along with watching people.
Very nice. I grew up in the 90s. I started watching when the Knicks were a tough team. Then I had the 20 years. You know what it is. You've been there. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Right.
Thank you. What is the best part of your job?
Well, I work with phenomenal people. Mike Breen, as you know, is in the Hall of Fame. On the hockey side, Sam Rosen's in the Hall of Fame. Kenny Albert's a national broadcaster. I work on a set on the Knicks show with Wally Zerbiak, Alan Hahn, and Monica McNutt, and I think we have a tremendous chemistry. I'm biased, but I think we have a lot of fun, and hopefully it comes through. And I'm also I'm a huge Knicks fan, so I'm really invested in the outcome. I work with the best people in the industry. I'm a native New Yorker, as I mentioned before we moved west, so this is in many ways a dream come true. I get to see Clyde Frazier at work every day, and he was someone that my family has always loved. So there are a lot of really good things about the job I have. I consider myself very fortunate to have it.
Nice. Definitely. What advice would you give me and others up and coming sportscasters?
So I would say that you're doing a great job after that start. You just want to, when you come on, you are as Mike is in the world. However, Mike is at your job or with your family. Just because the Zoom comes on or the mic comes on, you don't want to change how you talk, how you enunciate. You don't want to announce. You just want to be as conversational as possible. And so far, I think you're doing a phenomenal job at we're just having a normal conversation, even though the camera is on. That's the most important thing I can give you in terms of advice, or give anybody in terms of advice. And this is a business that you get better the more you practice. So you keep doing these interviews, you keep doing your Facebook play-by-play. It's something that takes repetition and practice. And that's the best advice I would give you or anybody else who's trying to do this.
Thank you. And what I would say that I really appreciate that is there are times when I'm doing play-by-play for either pro wrestling or basketball playoffs, and I feel it. And I know I just feel the passion and love for it. And I'm not saying I don't always feel like that, but when I really feel it as I'm doing it, I'm like, I really believe I could take this places. So thank you very much.
That's fantastic. So, you want to do is maybe record some of your calls, record some of your basketball. You may have to go to a minor league. You may have to go to the G League. You may have to go to, the Westchester Knicks or something like that. It takes tremendous perseverance to even get looked at, but it's something that if you keep honing your craft, that's your best recipe for success.
Thank you.
Now, I don't know what it's like to be an electrician. I mean, I guess that's a practical career, or do you have to do a lot of book studying?
You do go to school like once a week or twice a week, one for like college, one for theory, but it's about a 5.5-year process. And most of it really is just doing on-the-job work every day.
So that's the equivalent of just calling games on Facebook, right? It's a repetition and practice, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Even as far as you have come, what are your current career goals and how far do you want to take this?
Well, I hope to be here as long as they'll have me. I've been fortunate to be at this a very long time. I was on ESPN before I got to MSG. I think history will say I was on there in the heyday of SportsCenter. In the 90s, when we were the only game in town. There wasn't Twitter, there wasn't internet. You had to watch us to find out who won the game. So people around the world, as you probably know, watched us for highlights. So I guess my goal at this point is to do the best job I can and hopefully be around long enough to watch the Knicks get back into contention. How's that?
I would love to be the one calling the next championship game. Hopefully
that would be great.
5 or 10 years, I would think. Hopefully.
That would be great.
Yeah. So thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate this. It's absolutely new to me. So thank you for telling me I literally wrote that at the very last night. I thought, hey, that sounds really good. I've heard podcasts do that. And you're just like, not necessary.
No, but see how much more natural it was?
Yes.
So I would say when you do this, Mike, you know my name, you know where I work, You know a couple of things about my career. That's all you need. You're not going to sit there. I hope your plan wasn't to read my whole biography. I think it was.
I had
You
like
would have
a
been on.
paragraph
You know how
at
long that would have
most.
taken you?
That would have taken me about 3 or 4 minutes.
Right. And never in conversation. Think about this. I always want you to
Yeah.
think about when you're doing this, that you're having a conversation. And what conversation would you ever talk for 3 or 4 minutes straight?
No, like if you're doing a monologue, that's not really
Right.
real life though. I
Right.
hear you.
Right. So you got any other questions?
I think I asked you what the best. What is the best? I think I asked you what the best part of your job, but I'm living. Oh, here's a good one. I like this one. Living in and around New York City, what is your favorite part of the 5 boroughs and the aura it brings out?
Just like the energy. You know, I just like the Knicks fan base. When they beat the Hawks last year in the playoffs, Mike, they had to shut 7th Avenue down. I mean,
Yes.
the city is so starved for a winner, and I just hope that the team can make a couple moves, maybe make a key acquisition, get a nice draft pick, and all they have to do is be somewhat relevant. And you see how the city gravitates towards this team. So that's the energy of the city is what I like.
Me too. I want to ask you personally, do you think the Knicks are better off with getting rid of their, in my opinion, at this point, a core 3 of IQ, Emmanuel Quickly, Obi Toppin, and RJ Barrett? Do you think they should trade any of those guys for the following people: Donovan Mitchell, Zion Williamson, or for anybody in the trading block? What is your take on that? I disagree with it totally. What do you think?
That's a tough call. I'm glad I don't have to make that decision, because you know what, RJ's eligible for a max extension too this summer.
Oh wow, really?
You know, maybe what if you gave it a shot with Obi and IQ, and you got Randall
That's what I'm thinking.
squared away, and maybe you didn't give up the house, and you got maybe a veteran or two. Maybe you're able to sign Jalen Brunson to be your starting point guard.
That would be.
See, I think the
beautiful.
challenge is, how do you know if Obi and IQ are really what they were at the end of the season against competition that wasn't really playing for a lot, right? I'm glad I don't have to make that decision, because that's a tough call.
I really believe when I first started watching Obi, even the moments of his rookie year, why aren't they giving this guy a little more time? See, the biggest difference between him at the end of the season and him during most of the season, he was actually giving minutes. But you're absolutely right when you say they're not playing against elite competition at that point in the season.
Right, but they were fantastic.
Moments.
They were fantastic. So that's going to be an interesting offseason. So that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if I want Donovan Mitchell or Zion Williamson, to be honest with you.
I don't want Zion, I don't think, because I'm worried about him being fit and healthy. And Mitchell is going to cost a lot. If you get Mitchell here, now you're going to be paying him $32 million a year in salary. You're going to have to give up a lot of players.
You're going to have to give up a lot. And I don't think he's a big-time championship-winning player. And if I'm right, the city will eat him alive.
Right. No, that's true. That's true.
I think. So again,
well, Mike, it's a pleasure to meet you, and best of luck as you pursue this. Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this. Have a good night. Thank you.
Okay, my man. We'll see you later. Bye.
Definitely. Bye.